All right, everyone. Thanks for joining in. I've got a very special guest, very close friend of mine, JodieAnn. Cady, how are you today? Thanks for joining in.
I am great, Doug. Thank you for sharing some time with me today. I so appreciate it.
Yeah, so we've been kept in contact, right? Because of the events we've done with Michigan Realtors, and now you're with Michigan State University, leading a whole new charge, right? Really creating the future leaders of event planning, hospitality. So, so what are some of the questions or things that you wanted to kind of kick this off with?
Yeah. So actually, Doug, you're right. So I've changed roles from leaving the association. I am an instructor with Michigan State University. I have a great group of hospitality students who are hopefully going to be creating a great future for our industry. And at a time where we're in this platform of doing everything virtually, I'm enamored with all that you're doing, and all the activity and content that you're putting out there for people to create good virtual content. So that's why I reached out to you, because I want the students to hear your story. And first of all, let's just even start from, because yes, I hired you for an in-person event years ago, and we've always stayed connected. So I appreciate that, that networking, which is one thing we talk about to the students about being so important. But how did you even decide that you were going to be a professional speaker? Like, where did that path come from?
Yeah, no, it's a very, I don't know if it's a different path, or at least maybe it was a different path for me, but I didn't plan on being a professional speaker. I was a real estate agent, and I attended a Toastmasters group offered by my local realtor association. And just because I wanted to improve my speaking skills, never did I anticipate of ever becoming a professional speaker. Right. But the more presentations I started giving, the better I got, and people started asking me, how much do you charge? And then I just was like, wow, there's a whole new business, right? That I can do what I love to do, or maybe what I'm more passionate about, right? Which ended up being helping others learn how to adapt to the latest technology trends.
Yeah. And about how many speaking events do you think you have done in your career? Any idea number-wise?
Gosh, I know it's over, it's in the HUD and probably the mid hundreds, right? When you look back at just SlideShare, right? www.slideshare.net. I probably have like 100 different presentations that are just uploaded to SlideShare, and that doesn't even cover it, right? So when you think of presentations, they're either done, with an individual meeting, they're done packaged together as a course, or maybe it's put together as a keynote, right? So, it's got to be in the hundreds of presentations, the hundreds of thousands of people, live and virtual audiences. It's just been an exciting run.
Yeah, it has. And I think the value that you bring is that your content is technology focused and always changing. So there is always new content out there, as much as we can. Those rah-rah type speakers, as I would say, have value and they're important to your programming, but it's the things that that members can actually take back and implement, that you really need to be continually bringing in the new content and the new information for people. So you've done that, and you've done an even better job than I would say most speakers that I've seen in switching to this whole virtual platform.
Yeah. Thank you.
How have you, obviously it's a passion for you, so you always had that interest there, but how did you, pandemic hit, boom, I've got to make a change in order to survive?
Well, yeah, no, it's a challenge, right? Because a lot of people going into this didn't have a backup, right? They didn't have a plan B. It just so happened that I commercially published a book with McGraw-Hill back in 2015, right? Like this is a real book. That's a hardcover book that that taught people step by step how to operate in this environment. So I kind of, you know, I was not only was I ready for this, but I had the solutions and tools to help. And then as we look at today, right? This was 5 years ago. Today we have all different types of new tools and processes that are available. And I can, if there's time, during this discussion, I can probably even show some of those to you. Right, to
Oh,
really that anyone can stand out. You can do a lot of this stuff yourself. Just follow some of the processes and things that I've created.
well, I definitely want to be able to see some of those tools, but I first would like to know, because this information is going to be shared with a group of students and coming up to be industry professionals who are going to need to be hiring speakers, either in person or virtual. So I know it's not always easy. Don't need to throw anybody under the bus here, but what are some of those key things that, one, you think planners need to make sure they're always asking when they're hiring, or what you feel like they miss asking? Or are there even those times where you're like, they never even took a chance to understand your content? Sometimes they just get focused on, oh,
Yeah,
that's speaking
gosh,
fee, you're too
yeah.
much. I just can't do that, as opposed to understanding the value you offer. And so therefore the value is worth the cost.
Yeah, look, no, it's hard today for meeting planners to be able to put together reliable, high quality programs within a defined budget, right? Like you want to create the best experience you possibly can. The challenge that happens is that because there's so many people now that have the opportunity to show up inside of this little square, right? Like if you just rely on the speaker's proposal, right? Like I know we have got the form or the RFP form. I see you shaking your head.
Yep.
Of what I'm talking about. If you just limit the input to that little form and you're not able to see beyond the trends or beyond the talent pool that you have, some companies have job postings and never hire, right? Because they can't find the right candidates.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it's a hard balance, right? To kind of work with your existing and then kind of talent pool, but then also be in search of new ideas. So, and I'll say it also to the to my peers who were kind of watching this too, it's hard, right, to figure out where the topic list is, right? Where is the list of programs? How many of these videos do I have to watch? Where is the best video that I can watch? How easy is it to schedule you, right? So I think what's happening now is that, and you think you mentioned this before, is that anybody who kind of just came in and just deliver just pure entertainment isn't gonna have the same success.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't always transfer well, especially in the virtual platform. So would you say that planners could be better? Like when you get a request from a planner for consideration, are they good about sharing, like, these are the goals of the meeting, this is kind of the topics that I'm looking for, this is my budget? Are they transparent with you, or are they or do they do what we hear so many times from hoteliers, that people aren't sharing their budgets, and it makes it so hard to work with somebody when they're not being fully transparent and sharing all the details, so you can come back and say, this is what I could do for you, this is what I could, if I could work within this part of your budget. Do you get that? Is that struggle real for you as well?
Well, man, when I think of goals and objectives, I don't think that people are willing to share. I don't think that there's an outlet for them to share, right? Even if you look at a speaker proposal form, it doesn't, as rarely does it list what the objectives of the meeting are, what the new topics that people are searching for. So it becomes a huge guessing game, right? And so I'll give you an example here right now. Like people would say, Doug, which program should we offer? Well, gosh, it's always a depends answer, right? Because look, I'll show you right now. I have this list. I have this list in this little table here that kind of show you can like actually go through and have this before. I never had this as a topic list that has the videos and everything else like inside here. So it's become, what I'm trying to do is figure out, well, how do I make this easy, right? How do I make this super easy for people to be able to access not only my topic list, but also ask questions so that I can figure out how my topic lists meet those objectives. If you don't give me the time as a speaker to have that discussion, then guess what? You're going to lose. The speaker's going to lose. Or not get asked back, right? Or people wonder where's the value here. So I think we can all do a better job in working together.
Yeah, so very true. And I think because then you hear quite often on the planner side, you hear from the attendees, or, oh my gosh, I did some research on that speaker's site, and did you know they also speak on this or they also speak on that? Like that would have been, I think that session would be a good session to have. Like if you're not listening to your attendees or getting feedback from them on what content they really want the speakers to deliver, you're not setting your speakers up for success. And I think that's what can happen too.
And here's something that's also a challenge, right? When you look at an organization or you look at a culture, there can be a tremendous sense of group think, because when you think that you have all the answers, right? And you've kind of insulated yourself with the bubble, in your own industry, it's hard to be able to take yourself up to the next level, right? So there has to be a diversity of level of where you start to find some of these ideas. Otherwise, right, you're just going to be a different, should I say, just a different flavor of the same person you were, a year later or 2 or 5. So.
Right. And so I would think that kind of leads well into my next question for you is you obviously going through the whole Toastmasters program, and I did Toastmasters years ago too, and loved it, did it for kind of a similar reason because I wanted to be more comfortable in a public speaking situation. But now you've taken that to the next level and you are a certified professional speaker. So what made you take that leap? Why was that important to you? And what do you think people should know about when they're hiring speakers and looking for that certification?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, part of the reason why I joined the National Speakers Associations is because that's what these folks do for a living, right? This is the best of the best, in the world, right? And then when you start to think, okay, who are the best of those individuals? Well, it's those who have earned the certified speaking professional designation, because, there's a criteria just to get into the National Speakers Association, right? And there's even a stricter criteria to earn the certified speaking professional designation. So when I saw that as an opportunity, that designation, I didn't look at it just as having another set of letters behind my name, but the person that I would become by associating myself with those peers, so that when people hire me, they know that they're getting like the best of the best. So that's something that I really took seriously early on in my career, and so. I try to help others too, right? That are trying to get it started in the profession to see, okay, using your talents and your expertise, how can you leverage that? So, I've even put together programs to help people who are just getting started too.
Good. And I think that's so very valuable in our industry. I often say, you know, I feel like I've done my part in our industry, and I have worked hard, and I've tried to make it a better place now than it was when I started. But it's also important to be transferring that knowledge to the incoming professionals so that they can continue on the growth and development. Because we all learn from sharing. We would deny that what we learned from our parents growing up in our 20s, we would say, oh no, we know more than our parents. But now as older adults, we're like, our parents really did know they did know some things, and they did have some knowledge to share, and they do have some knowledge to share. So I think it's awesome that you are taking it to that level in mentoring younger professional speakers coming in. One of the things that the students also kind of learn about in the process of hiring speakers in entertainment is speakers bureaus. And there are, obviously some very large bureaus, and there are speakers that are repped by numerous bureaus. And then there are also speakers that don't choose to use a bureau. I personally have worked with bureaus, and I've worked without bureaus to hire a speaker. Doug, are you connected to a bureau at all on any standpoint, or do you just you find it easiest just to?
Yeah, I'd say in the last, sorry, I think in the last 12 years of doing this, I've been hired by one bureau, right? So I don't know if that's just, me not pursuing that relationship, but I tell you, for the reason why I went the kind of non-bureau route is because I really developed deep relationships with my clients, right? It's not just a one-off type of thing where I'm in and I'm out. Sometimes I'll work with a client on different projects that go beyond the scope. So, and that's really hard to do that or manage that in a bureau situation. I know many bureaus don't like to get involved in that, but that's not to say that I wouldn't, turn down an opportunity if it's a right fit, or if I'm looking to gain a new awareness in a new market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's trade-offs too, right?
Right. Well, and does too now that National Speakers Association, or is that maybe it's through your actual earning of your certified speaking professional designation, that there's a database within the system now, right? If I remember correctly, where you can search for speakers too?
Yeah, so anybody who's a member of the National Speakers Association has an automatic membership in eSpeakers, right?
Yeah.
eSpeakers is kind of the platform that a lot of folks use, and it's also connected to the member database. So anytime you wanted to search for a speaker, they get it from there. And then what you'll see also too is a lot of bureaus will just copy the database right from the National Speakers Association, or use that as a lead source to find speakers for their platform. It's just kind of, I mean, it happens in every industry, right? It's just kind of the side to it. So
that would be a tool for people who are looking for speakers to, if another tool in which to find, and then you're finding speakers who do have some level of vetting behind them, as opposed to just hiring your neighbor's friend who says he knows a lot about the topic.
Well, and I can being in the real estate industry, right? We have many different designations, right? And to me, the designation is more about the skills that I've earned than having the letters, right? And so even though I'll put it out there that I have it, it's not one of the primary things anymore, right? The primary thing right now is delivering as much value or results as I possibly can through our creative brainstorming, kind of like we've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in taking that creative brainstorming, then what can you tell students going out into who are going to be doing interviews on Zoom, who are going to be trying to live in this virtual world that's not going to go away. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see hybrid meetings being a very common practice in meetings for, I think, several years to come. How you've done it. Look at our setup here today. Like, look at me, my basic little office. Look at you, your fancy screens behind you. How can they achieve that? How can they set themselves apart and be different?
Well, look, there's that's a great question. In fact, I've got with this link up here that I can share with you later. This is the 8 templates you need to host better virtual events. These are plug and play on that you can do on a very on like no budget, right? So if you have no budget, you can create a lot of these same types of things to help out. I also say if you go to my website and you just type in Zoom in the search, you'll get this piece here that says 8 ways to show up differently inside of Zoom. And so as I'm kind of like walking through this little environment here, I'll demo some of these things, because right now inside of this little application that we're using called Restream, we're not using Zoom to record. We're using Restream, as I don't have to ask for my permission to share my screen or not, right? Mm-hmm. Like I can just do it inside of my webcam. This little of the Brady Bunch. It's a little square that you get. You can also add a digital whiteboard as a background. This is really good for facilitations. I don't know if this is something that you want me to show right now. Sure. but I can. While the whiteboard's pulling up, see where it says add songs and sound effects. Like this would be the kickoff music, right? If it was your actually, here I can show this to you. This is how versatile this kind of little studio is that I can press one button here and then I can actually show you some of these things. So we're still on number 4, adding sound effects. So this is my little soundboard here that sits nicely on my desk. Anytime we welcome somebody in, there's the applause button. If it's my joke, if it's a one-off, if it's risk management, if it's someone's idea, if I ask a question and nobody responds, right? So when you think about it, you have all these ways of being able to show up inside. And here's something that's interesting too, is this little app called Devitre. I'm going to open it up here. This is the digital whiteboard app called Devitre Desktop. So when I want to show this digital whiteboard, I have this app that I use on my iPad that then connects to Devitre. And it's taken a little longer than it normally should. Probably because I should have had it prepared. Oh, here it comes. Are you seeing this? I guess you're not seeing this.
No, I'm not seeing it yet.
This is the challenge, right? This is the risk whenever you go live, is that sometimes it's not doesn't happen exactly when you think it should. So now what do you see on my screen?
I see the whiteboard now. Yep.
Okay, cool. So now even inside of a sales conversation, right, I can ask somebody what their specific needs are in their order. And then if somebody asks me a question specifically that I've already, let's say, prepared, a visual for, I can now lead them through a conversation that I've had previously. So in my series of whiteboard notes, now it becomes my virtual background. So, I mean, when you think about it, like all inside of this little square that you have, right? What's the type, what's that experience that you can create without having to hire in extra help, video production team, sound, coordinated. You can do a lot of this on your own, just as long as you have access to some of the tools and know how to put it together. And that's kind of what I teach people. That's kind of what I've been teaching people.
Well, and this is definitely something that I can see on the hotel side, as much as, it all started in real estate for you. There's screen to screen selling is something that is going to be occurring in many different industries for a good chunk of time to come, be it the hotel or convention centers. I think it's here to stay. And
Yeah, it's
and
not
this is
going away.
it's far more engaging to have a conversation with a speaker um, like this than it is to say, okay, well, I'm thinking about hiring you. Like it, this tells you so much more about their skill set and their ability. So the fact that you can present yourself in this way, I think
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Here's what's interesting is like the motivation to change, right? And then it's really been the pandemic that's caused everyone to change in this fashion. I'll give you an example here. This is a meeting, or this is on my speaker's website, right? So people can watch a virtual presentation. They can watch a live presentation. This one that was live, this was 6 years ago, and these are the things that I was talking about in terms of areas of waste, right? The pandemic was not a
Right.
slide, right? It was not a slide on here, and now people have finally realized that these areas of waste are actually ways to be able to recapture some of their lost budget, right? To be able to recapture some of their time, to be able to innovate and find new ways to create value. All of this is has been here. It's just that the pandemic is what's been really caused everyone to say, okay, we're going to take this a little serious.
Well, and crazy to think that this is something, the concept of the screen to screen selling is something that you were working on 5 years ago. So the fact that the pandemic came around, it just allowed you to perfect all the skill set you had already created and all the knowledge. It just allowed you to get it up to speed and get it at a stronger market level than anybody else.
Yeah,
Which,
thanks. Well, here's the thing, Jody, and to be perfectly honest, there was a time when people weren't looking to go remote so much that I put this aside, and I started focusing on artificial intelligence and voice assistants. So now I'm building these Alexa skills that work with your TV, so you can run videos or watch videos right from your TV just by talking to the TV. So this is kind of where this is heading, right? And I think that once you start to see kind of what's possible and you're able to take some of these new ideas back to your team, you're able to create these memorable experiences that just they didn't exist before, but then
right.
also add this level of excitement. We've been talking about.
Yeah. So what would be, and just kind of in wrapping things up, what would be one, you've mentored young speaking professionals. What would be something, just one takeaway that you would give to, these students who doesn't necessarily mean they're going to become meeting professionals. They may go into the hotel side. Heck, they may decide they want to become professional speakers in a topic of something that they are developing expertise in. What would be the takeaway that you would share with them?
Yeah. This is a relationship business, right? Like at the end of the day, this is a relationship business. So it doesn't matter so much what you know. It's how you were able to work with people, right? And over a number of years where you kind of have worked on a lot of different projects and things like that, don't ever forget that you can always learn something new, right? That you, even though what you've seen before has worked, it can be done a little bit differently. It could probably be done faster. It can finally be done cheaper. But at the end of the day, like, it all comes down to nurturing those relationships. I don't know, JodieAnn, when I look at what's happened with the pandemic, and people are kind of scrambling right now, it all comes back to the relationships you've had with people, right?
Hmm. It really does. It really does. You know, LinkedIn has been a great resource for that tool, definitely, to keep those connections and to build those connections.
Yeah, I mean, what a great time to learn how to show up differently. You know, especially if you haven't been busy or if you're in transition of looking for a new job, right? You know, you think of how many folks will show up inside of this square, and you need to be able to stand out. You know, you can use some of these same tools and processes inside of your own job search, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. And we will definitely share the links to your website for the students to be able to take a look at the resources that you have there available.
Yeah, cool.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. You just have so much knowledge to share, and I know it's you know, you've got things that you've got to do, and you've got to build your business and build your contact list. So taking the time to talk to the students today, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing too is, you know, we're all in this together, right? The more I can help you, the more you can help your students, the more your students can help other people. And that's why I got into this, right? Was to really help as many people as I possibly can. So, you know, if you're just getting started, you know, stick with it. You know, my triathlon coach tell me, you know, run the mile that you're in. Don't get so worried or anxious about what all these things that could be. You know, focus on what you have. Day by day, you'll be able to do it. I'm just so glad that we were able to spend our time here together today, and you know, add value to your community.
Yeah, so very true. Thank you again. I really
All right.
appreciate it, Doug.
Take care.
You too.
All right, bye.